Welcome back to Sip and Talk, everyone. Joe here, ready to peel back the layers on something that probably hit your social feeds like a meteor.
And Sunny here. You know, we love a good mystery, especially one with a headline that just makes you go, huh. Today's Sip and Talk is exactly that. U.S. border rejection over meme, fact or fiction.
Seriously, this story was everywhere. A traveler, supposedly, denied entry to the U.S. because of a meme on their phone. It sounds completely unbelievable, doesn't it?
Totally.
Made me wonder, are things really that strict at the border now? Has America become some kind of, thought police state?
It absolutely begs those questions. My first reaction was like, is this for real? We have to get to the bottom of it. Was it just a harmless meme, or was there something much deeper, maybe more mundane, actually, at play?
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so the viral claim, the one that sparked all this conversation, it's centered around a 21-year-old Norwegian traveler, Mads Mikkelsen. The initial reports, which spread like wildfire, claimed he arrived at Newark Liberty International Airport, June 11th, 2025, for a planned U.S. trip.
Okay.
Only to be denied entry because border agents apparently found a bald J.D. Vance meme on his phone.
Wow. Okay, yeah. What's truly fascinating here isn't just that the story went viral, but how fast that first, sensational version took hold.
Instantly.
People immediately jumped to conclusions like, was the U.S. turning into some sort of extreme, politically censorious regime? Mikkelsen himself said he felt completely humiliated, said he was questioned about everything from drug trafficking to terror plots, even right-wing extremism. It really tapped into a real anxiety, about privacy and what's okay in this digital age.
Oh, I can still picture the outrage online. It's like hearing a story about someone getting arrested for, looking at a cloud funny. It sounds so absurd, you almost want it to be true just for the drama.
Right.
And then you hit share because it's just that shocking. That's exactly what happened here. The story was too wild not to click.
Precisely. And that brings us to the big reveal. So, if the meme was the red herring, what was the truth?
Yeah, what really happened?
Well, the answer, maybe ironically, comes directly from the very authority everyone was so quick to condemn. United States Customs and Border Protection, CDP. They later clarified the situation. This was on June 25th, 2025.
Okay.
And they explicitly stated Mikkelsen's rejection was not due to the meme or any political reasons at all.
Not the meme. So what was it then?
The true reason, confirmed by CBP, was that Mikkelsen admitted to past drug use.
Ah. Okay. That changes things.
It does. And if that wasn't enough, they also found a photo on his phone of a wooden pipe he'd made years ago.
A wooden pipe.
Yeah. And this is critical because under U.S. immigration law, admitting to past drug use, even if it was just recreational or having evidence that suggests it, well, that can make you inadmissible.
Right. So it's not about the meme at all. It's about established legal grounds for entry.
Exactly. It reminds me of those times you hear some incredible rumor, you're totally hooked, and then the actual truth comes out and it's, well, far less dramatic.
Yeah, like finding out your friend didn't win the lottery. They just found a really shiny penny on the sidewalk.
Happens all the time online, right? But okay, while the meme wasn't the actual reason he was denied entry, his experience kind of inadvertently pulled back the curtain on the, let's say, the broader reality of intensified U.S. border enforcement in 2025.
Yeah, especially under the current administration's policies. Let's unpack this because the numbers themselves are truly astonishing, maybe even more so than any viral meme.
Okay.
We're talking a dramatic drop in illegal crossings, southwest border. In May 2025, they were down, get this, 93% compared to May 2024.
93%, wow.
From over 117,000 crossings down to just 8,725, the daily average encounters. Around 952 people in May 2025. That's one of the lowest figures historically.
That's a massive shift.
And March 2025 saw an even sharper decline.
So when we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just about deterring illegal crossings, right? It signals maybe a fundamental shift in how the U.S. views border management, moving from reactive processing to active prevention right at the border.
Seems like it. And look at the arrests. First 100 days of 2025 alone, over 151,000 undocumented immigrants arrested.
Yeah.
135,000 repatriated.
And those numbers, You're saying they surpass the entire 2024 fiscal year's arrest figure.
The whole year, yeah. Which highlights this targeted approach against specific groups, too, like transnational criminal gangs. Trinidad, they mentioned apprehending over 600 members of that gang alone.
I mean, for being pretty brutal, right?
Exactly. And also long-standing threats like MS-13 and 18th Street gangs. Thousands of them.
And it's not just about what's happening, between the official ports of entry.
Right. They've also terminated the CBP One app for appointments.
Oh, okay.
And ended all those categorical parole programs, so it's back to case-by-case reviews.
Which means moving away from those sort of pre-approved pathways for certain asylum seekers, like from specific countries or with particular vulnerabilities.
Exactly. Now, every single case faces a more individualized and probably often more restrictive review. And that's led to a 93% drop in inadmissible immigrants showing up at the ports of entry.
Okay, this also brings up that whole question about checking electronic devices, phones, laptops.
Yeah, the meme part of the story, even if it wasn't the reason, definitely touched on that.
Right. And CBP does have the authority to check electronic devices for various offenses, terrorism, drug trafficking.
But how often does it actually happen?
Well, the official statistic they give is that only 0.01% of travelers have their devices searched.
0.01%. That sounds tiny.
It does. And CBP states that number is consistent with prior years.
Still, it makes you pause. Makes you think about what photos are lurking in your camera roll, even the totally innocent ones. That embarrassing photo from last year's Halloween party. Maybe archive that one.
Good idea.
But seriously, the real aha moment here isn't just that they could check your phone. It's that even an old, seemingly innocent photo of a wooden pipe could become a tripwire.
Exactly.
It reveals a surprising nuance in this new reality of U.S. border control. And even U.S. citizens, legal residents, they've reported being subjected to random searches, which sparks real privacy concerns.
It certainly does. And when you look at public opinion, it's pretty clear there's broad support for these stricter measures. Something like 88% of U.S. voters support stricter border security.
88%, wow.
So it's not just a feeling. The numbers really do show a massive shift in enforcement, and it aligns strongly with public sentiment.
Yeah. But beyond just the numbers,
yeah,
what's the human impact? Of these stricter policies? Are we seeing unintended consequences or shifts in migration patterns because of it?
That's a great point. While the enforcement is clearly impacting the overall numbers, the discussion around, human rights and the specific experiences of individuals like MADS, that often gets overshadowed.
For sure. But the meme story, even though it was misleading, definitely brought that tension to the surface.
It did.
It truly reminds you how quickly those initial sensational stories can spread before the full truth emerges. Which begs a crucial question for all of us, right? In this digital age, why do those wild, often misleading headlines? Why do they kill, as they say? Why do they grab us so powerfully while the truth just struggles to catch up?
Well, a big part of it, honestly, comes down to economics, the economic incentive.
Money.
Yeah. Digital media relies heavily on ad revenue, right?
Yeah.
And clicks directly translate to money. So sensational headlines, even if they're misleading, they simply get more clicks.
Makes sense.
And in our attention economy, we're just flooded with information. Outrageous headlines grab attention quickly. They trigger emotions, surprise, anger, curiosity.
The strong stuff.
Exactly. It's not just about the clicks anymore. It's about how these algorithms kind of weaponize our own emotional responses. Surprise, anger, curiosity, they turn them into currency. It makes outrage highly profitable, and it makes it really difficult for, honest content to compete.
It's like going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Because the menu describes the most incredible, mouth-watering dish. And then what arrives is totally different.
Yeah.
You feel cheated. That's the clickbait experience. And social media algorithms, search engines, they just eat this stuff up. They favor high engagement content, which often means the more shocking or emotionally charged headlines get amplified.
That's a powerful analogy, and we've all been there, right? It truly makes you second-guess everything you read online.
Definitely.
And the fierce competition between media outlets also pushes some to adopt these really aggressive headline strategies just to stand out.
But it comes with harmful consequences.
Absolutely. The Mickelson case is a perfect example. So many people believed the meme story was true. They formed an opinion based entirely on that initial flawed information.
And it really erodes trust, doesn't it? When readers find the content doesn't actually match the headline, trust in that media outlet, and maybe news in general, just declines.
That 2023 Edelman Trust Barometer showed only 43% global trust in news media.
Less than half.
Yeah. That's pretty damning. And people often share just the headlines, right, without reading the article, which just fuels misinformation and degrades public discourse. Makes it harder to have an informed debate when everyone's working off a misleading premise.
It really makes you wonder if we're all just becoming headline skimmers.
Yeah.
You know, I remember falling for one once about miracle weight loss via pineapples.
Oh, no.
Needless to say, my fruit bowl got very boring very quickly.
Ugh.
But it really hit home how easily we want to believe the sensational.
It certainly does. Which raises this really important question. In this environment, can media with honest headlines actually thrive?
Yeah, can it survive?
The core dilemma is clear. Rational, accurate headlines often get fewer clicks than the sensational ones. It's almost like, humans' desire for rational information is sometimes less than their desire for a video of a cat falling off something.
That's a sad truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there are existing models for what we might call honest media.
Right.
Think about high-quality subscription models, like the New York Times or the BBC. They prioritize accurate, in-depth reporting. The New York Times, for example, they have strict editorial guidelines for headlines. Max 55 characters for story headlines, focus on accuracy, brevity. Yeah. Their business model relies heavily on subscriptions, digital and print, not just clickbait ads.
And the BBC, being publicly funded, emphasizes impartiality and balance. Their headlines are clear, concise, like 50 characters for index headlines. And while they are SEO optimized, accuracy is absolutely paramount.
Then you've also got models like nonprofit investigative journalism. ProPublica, for instance, funded by donations, foundations, focuses purely on transparency and accuracy.
Yeah, and the true innovation for honest media might not just be in new business models. It might be in these transparent sort of meta-journalism platforms, the ones that don't just report news, but explicitly show their work, show their biases, empowering the reader to be their own editor, in a way.
And there are newer transparency platforms, too, which are really interesting, like All Sides.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Provides balanced news by showing perspectives from left, center, and right sources side by side. Lets you compare. And Ground News, that's a personal favorite. It compares how different news sources frame the exact same event, including their headlines. Helps you spot bias. It's like having a team of fact-checkers and bias spotters right in your pocket.
That's fascinating. So while maybe a specific foolproof, honest headline business model hasn't fully emerged yet, the demand for transparent, truthful news seems to be growing.
Hopefully.
And there's potential for technology too, right? Like decentralized IDs, AI verification tools. Maybe they can help foster more honest media, tracking information provenance, flagging deepfakes.
Yeah, maybe.
But even with those advancements, the challenge of competing with emotionally charged content, that remains. So ultimately, maybe it comes down to us, the readers, the listeners. We need to be savvy.
That's the core takeaway, isn't it? Cultivating media literacy, checking sources, comparing different news outlets.
Yeah.
It's crucial. Don't be a headline party accomplice.
Right.
It's like when you're buying something online, you don't just read the first review, do you? You dig a little deeper, look at the 5-star and the 1-star, and make your own informed decision.
Good analogy.
So, what did we learn today? Well, the meme wasn't the culprit for that border rejection. But the story definitely opened up a whole conversation about how U.S. border control really operates in 2025.
And how vital it is to question those shocking headlines, because behind almost every viral sensation, there's often a more complex and, sometimes more mundane truth that really demands a closer look.
It really makes you think about how we consume information, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do we want the quick, catchy stories? Or do we want the whole honest picture, even if it's a little less dramatic?
Maybe the true power of information lies in our willingness to seek beyond the sensational.
Something to chew on, for sure. For more intriguing stories and to get the real scoop, make sure you subscribe to Sip and Talk wherever you get your podcasts.
Please do. And while you're at it, you should check out our good friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickytolife.
Oh, yeah. He's got fun memes, music, wine tasting, travel vlogs. Good stuff.
So fun. Oh, and have you heard his new song, Love, a Gust of Wind?
I have.
It's so good. You got to check it out.
It really is. All right. Thanks for joining us at the Sip and Talk. We'll catch you next time.
Bye for now.